Hello and welcome to the Selenium tutorial. Today I will be demonstrating TestNG annotation attributes. Last time we have discussed about TestNG uh, and what is TestNG all about, and the TestNG annotations, in which we also have discussed about at the rate test. Uh, TestNG at the rate test annotation is used to uh, denote that this is basically a test. So we will be discussing about the um, at the rate test annotation attribute. So what are TestNG annotation attributes? Uh, at the rate test annotation is one of the basic annotation in TestNG, which marks that method is a test method. And if test method annotated with at the rate test annotation, it tells TestNG that this method is basically a test and it should be executed when the user runs the class. What are the annotations helper attributes? Uh, okay, there is a typo. So there are multiple helper attributes which at the rate test annotation, but we will be discussing about a few of them. Uh, Number one is description, timeout, priority, depends on methods, enables, and group. Description basically describe the uh, at the rate test method that what it is all about. Timeout basically explains that at after how much time it will expire. Priority basically determines the order of the test. Uh, Depends on methods basically describes that in which methods this test is depends. Enable basically describes that whether this uh, at the test at the rate test is enabled or not. At the rate group basically group all of the related tests in a single group. So let's discuss about all the annotations in detail. First is description. It is a string which is attached to the at the rate test annotation that describes the information about the test. Example is if with at the rate test description is written, this is test case, so it will basically print description. Public test. So we can actually add description about the test. For example, if this is my first test, I can write this is my first test case, right? Uh, Priority. When no priority attribute is specified, then the test ng will run the test cases in alphabetical order. Uh, but if we would like to run the test in a sequential order, we can define the priority. In the current example, uh, the test written as watermelon have priority 1 and the test written as apple have priority 2. So if there is no priority defined, then apple test will run first and then watermelon test will run after this apple. But since we have defined priority, uh, therefore priority 1 test will run first and priority 2 test will run after priority 1. Enabled is also one of the very important attribute. Uh, by default, this Boolean value have true is false. Uh, the enabled attribute contains a Boolean value. By default, it is the value is true. I am sorry about that. Value is true. All the test set as enabled true will run will execute. But if some of the test is marked as enabled is equal to false, then it will not participate in the test execution. So in the current example, if you can see uh, in first at the rate test annotation, there is no uh, um, attribute defined, but in second test, enabled is equal to false is defined. So when test will run, this first test will run, but not this test will run because we have marked this test as enabled is equal to false. So let's see our example. Last time we have we have write one test with at the rate test annotation in which we haven't uh, defined any helper annotation helper attribute. So in order to see helper attribute in action, we need to add one more test with at the rate test annotation. And last time we have one login test. This test we have written previously. So let's copy paste this login test in at the rate test. So I have copy paste this login test public void login test, and I need to add assert equal. So I have added one more test in my current test, verify home page title and login test. So, since I haven't defined any priority, so let's see what will happen if I will run all those tests. So you can see here my first test, login test, is run, although login test is defined after the verify homepage title. If I want to execute this verify homepage title, first I need to define attribute which is priority. Priority is equal to 1, and I need to set the same priority at not same but priority 2 so that it will run this login test after verifying the home page title. So let's see if I will run this test. So here you can see the priority 1 test is run first and login test run is after the verify home page title because its priority is 2. Now I would like to skip home verify home page title. What I can use enabled is equal to false. So this time it will not consider this test. So program is executed, and you can see the test which we have uh, used attribute enable is equal to false actually didn't consider this test at all. So that's all from my demonstration. Thank you for watching.